Hey pals, how's it going? I'm back again. Right, there's half an hour left of the stream. I'm thinking, what do we want to do? I don't want to just jump right off the stream right away. I'm here to hang out. Do you want to see half an hour more of Forgotten City? Do you want to just hang out? Maybe watch a YouTube video or something? You know, I'm easy, really. Stone Bum, thank you for following. I'm open to, like, memes if people have them. I could just chat if people want to chat about something. There was a Caleb Maupin video I thought was very funny, but I don't think I can cover it in half an hour because it's like an hour long. It's like... It's called, like, 4 Definitions of Satanism, a Marxist View, and it's absolutely fucking ridiculous. Down for more Forgotten City if you're feeling it? Yeah, I'm saying, I could just play a bit more for the remaining half an hour. Bit distracted. Yeah, that's what, I mean, I'm just kind of all over the place a bit today. It's been a very busy day. So I'm just kind of like... Sounds ridiculous. Yeah, it's a very silly video. Okay, what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just... No, I don't really think. Let's just save. Yeah, save. No. Save properly. Yeah, okay, it's saving now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna load Minecraft. I'm just gonna bum around in Minecraft for a little bit, and I'll have this fucking Maupin video on. Since people are interested in that. It's very, very silly. It's also like, honestly, it's weird fucking doublethink shit. Like, trying to make people in his following like just use words in a completely nonsensical way. Like, it's literally, he, like, fuck's sake. They all call people satanic all the time. Why is that? Because they're far-right Christians. Like, because they're fucking conspiracy theorists and far-right Christians, and it's pretty straightforward to see what that's about. Like, that like, a bunch of, like, fundamentalist Christian fucking dipshits who think that the real working class is to be appealed to with bigotry go around calling people satanic, especially like queer people. It's like, well, you know, what could that be all about, you know? I didn't come up with just chatting. There it is. Caleb Maupin defines Satanism. There we go. Boop, 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 boop. Cool. And, like... Yeah, it's just bizarre. Like, he's basically tried to redefine Satanism, so that he can just say it means whatever he wants. And it's like, well, it doesn't mean just whatever you want, though, does it, my guy? It means, like, it refers to a specific, like, religious practice of worshipping Satan, the arch nemesis of God and Jesus, from Christianity. And then, like, it's like, so going into like metaphor or whatever, to pretend that you know, you're using it in this like metaphorical way. Nah, you'll see it, but it's just like, you could almost have respect for people who are just about what they're about. Like, I'll say this, like, I find, you know, for as contemptible, because just like repulsive and slimy as Haz is, like, he's more respectable than fucking Peter Coffin or whatever. Like, any of these creeps who are just like talking out the side of their mouth the whole time and never saying what they mean. Like, Haz just calls himself a reactionary. Like, like, yeah, okay. yeah, it's this weird video. Basically, Caleb Maupin is trying to insist that that there are 4 definitions of Satanism, so that his followers, like I say, can just use words in as is a waste of a himbo. Thank you, Birdie. That's a good way to put it. Um, it's very funny. Um, yeah, to just like use words in a deliberately like fucking obfuscating and nonsensical way. Um, because like what other purpose is there except to just confuse people and just like waste everyone's time? If people show up in your replies and they're saying you're satanic, and then you're like, you're just a fucking right winger perpetuating the satanic panic that we're currently experiencing. Like, the QAnon is just still the same satanic panic from the 90s, just evolved. Like, and then they go, no, well, you see, watch this video from the very smart and cool Caleb Maupin, and then you'll understand. All right. I'll watch it on double speed because it's really long.
Talk about Satanism. Yes, you heard that right. We are going to talk about Satanism. But we are going to talk about Satanism with 4 different definitions of Satanism. 4 different definitions.
Yeah, I just love materialism so
Satanism
much.
and what they mean. The first definition of Satanism is what we can call constructive Satanism. Now, let me back up before we get into that. When we talk about Satanism, right? Every culture, every religion, every belief system has some kind of concept of good and bad, good and evil, etc.
Right, so it's just kind of like, okay, this is the beginning of the stretching of Satanism into this other thing, right? The beginning is like, what if Satanism didn't mean specifically worshipping literally Satan, but instead referred to like worshipping the enemy of whatever established system there is? Okay, I kind of get that, maybe. Why wouldn't it play? Oh no, the CIA is suppressing him.
But what do these things mean? What do they mean in politics?
Wait a second, this isn't double speed. This is normal speed. Fuck that.
What do they mean in life? It's an interesting topic, so I want to delve into it a little bit, because I have 4 different definitions of Satanism, which I think we can all kind of more or less relate to. So the first definition of Satanism that I will go with is what I would call constructive Satanism, which I think is an interesting one, because you generally think of Satanism.
And this is also constructive Satanism. Like, this is also like, completely just for the purposes of fucking obfuscating and wasting everyone's time, just for the purposes of trolling. Like, it's just like, oh, and my first definition of Satanism is good as well. Like, I don't even necessarily mean you're bad if I'm calling you satanic. And it's like, yeah, you fucking do. You call someone satanic, like, come on.
Being bad. You generally think of Satanism as just being purely bad. But, interestingly, if you read the book of Job in the Christian Bible, Satan is very different in the book of Job than he is presented throughout a lot of Christian theology. And this is reflective of the Hebrew tradition, that Satan is one of God's angels who tests your faith, who tests your loyalty. You can see that in different traditions. The idea is that God, the force of good, has a special angel whose job isn't to help you. His job is to bring hardship into your life. His job is to present you with tests, to ask you tough questions, to point out your flaws. And in doing so, reveal who you truly are, reveal your strengths, test your loyalty, test your resilience, etc. That's the idea. And constructive Satanism is an important part of any organization. You always want to have somebody there asking the tough questions. You always want to have somebody there trouble.
See, if Caleb Maupin really wanted to get in and own on me right now, he would point out that I'm going creative mode on my Innsmouth project. See, then he would have me dead to rights as a fake leftist. Real leftists, obviously, engage in materialism by only ever using survival mode.
Shooting, the worst case scenarios. You always want to have somebody there who cares about you enough to point out your real flaws. And this is something that, individuals recognize, right? Those who love you the most will criticize you, right? This is something that organizations will realize, right? If you ever develop a culture in the organization where people can't get up and point out flaws, the organization is going to get weaker and weaker and weaker. Why? Because the flaws and problems will never be addressed. This is true of countries. This is true of religions, etc. You want to have somebody whose job it is, who plays the role of nitpicking, revealing flaws. And that kind of person is very, very important. And a healthy organization, a healthy person, a healthy community, a healthy country, a healthy company, corporation will recognize that. That having somebody who gets up and says, whoa, 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 the way we're doing...
I'm sure there are loads of people who are questioning Caleb Maupin and saying that the way he's doing things are wrong, and giving constructive feedback in the CPI.
Things now might be okay, but if this problem arises, this could go wrong. That's helpful. Someone gets up
God,
and says,
I love
agree with what you're saying
materialism.
for the most part, but there's a flaw in what you're saying. That's helpful. You know, people often talk about the story of the emperor who has no clothes. You ever hear this? The emperor who has no clothes, right? It's a story, Aesop's fable. It's one of these old stories, right? That you know, the emperor hires a tailor, and the tailor is a con man, and the tailor says to the emperor, you know, I'm giving you these magical clothes that only good people can see. And the emperor assumes that other people can see it, so he wears these magical clothes. But they're not actually clothes. The tailor is a con man. And so the emperor walks out completely naked. And no one is brave enough to tell the emperor that he has no clothes on, because he's the emperor, and no one wants to point out the flaws.
It's just literally like he treats people like fucking children because he deliberately surrounds himself with people who just became Marxists fucking yesterday. Like, it's no fucking accident whatsoever. Like, he's telling the story, he's telling the fable of the emperor with no clothes right now. Like, come on, my guy, like, seriously? You can't just trust that, you know, the emperor has no clothes. A common idiom in English at this point is like a reference point culturally that people have that you don't have to explain for them. Like, God, it's embarrassing, seriously. And you know what it creates in the effect in his speech for his, like, followers is the impression that he's speaking down to people who are even dumber than them, right? And that's the point. He's trying to, he's trying to make people feel like they're the smart one. It's like a fucking bigger fool scam, honestly. Like, he's trying to make them feel like they're the smart one who understands this stuff all fine, but, like, he's only dumbing it down because he wants it to be accessible to the working class, because this guy fucking loathes the working class and thinks that they're all dumb as hell, you know? It's so insidious. It's such fucking creepy behavior to just, like, you know? Like, this isn't making your shit accessible. This is making people who like you think that they're the fucking smart one, and the other people are the ones who are, like, you know, nodding along. Wow. Oh my God. The emperor. I've never heard of that before. Whoa.
No one wants to say that he's wrong. You never want that to develop in any organization. If there's a problem, you want people to get up and be able to address it. If there is a way that things are developing that's not helpful, you want to be able to get up and say that they're wrong. Abraham Lincoln. Interesting fact. Many people don't know this.
Fucking Abraham. Many people don't know
basically
this.
An agnostic, right? He used religious language because that was the style of the time. But he was basically an agnostic, and he had a very well-known reputation when he was living in Illinois. He would go to churches and debate the pastors. Did you know this? Abraham Lincoln, he was a lawyer, a well-educated man, but he was from, you know, unsettled territory in Illinois. Illinois was a new state in the United States, just entered the United States, entered the Union. And Abraham Lincoln was notorious for going to churches and debating the pastors. He would get up and
his great man shit is so insufferable.
You know, it says the snake went on its
Why are we learning about Abraham Lincoln right now, Caleb? Seriously.
What
What the fuck is this?
What about contradictory things in the Bible? Abraham Lincoln would go to churches and debate the pastors. Nowadays, people would consider that to be a really rude, disrespectful thing to do. So go back to your church and was saying, I think you're wrong. And would debate.
Yeah, no shit, man.
Say that guy is a disrespectful jerk. He needs to go to his own church. He needs to get the hell out of here because he thinks he is. But apparently, back in Abraham Lincoln's time, many pastors were happy that Abraham Lincoln did that because that gave them an opportunity to test their ideas and to practice engaging and debating, and that it made the church services much more lively. And so when Abraham Lincoln, the lawyer who eventually became U.S. Senator and eventually became President of the United States,
Oh my God. Are we all learning things, pals in chat? Are we becoming educated little Marxist-Leninist materialists? We're learning so much right now. Oh my God. Abraham Lincoln.
And people argue with you and they say they're playing the devil's advocate. This is what they're getting at. They are criticizing you. They are challenging you. They are troubleshooting you for your ultimate benefit. And you need someone to play that role in any
That troubleshooting
At any point, you have an organization where people are not able to go out and say, I think this is a problem. People are not able to point out flaws. Where problems just keep getting worse and worse and worse. And anyone who gets up and says that there's a problem, you know, gets attacked for it, gets punished for it. You are not in a healthy organization. The Soviet Union, one of the big problems that the Soviet Union had, and I've said this many times, is the Soviet Union fell to the sound of applause. Soviet party congresses, Khrushchev would come out, you know, started with Stalin. Stalin came out, everyone would applaud for Stalin. Well, I mean, the guy did defeat the Nazis. He did raise the country out of poverty. I think Stalin, in many ways, people would consider him to be worthy of applause. But after Stalin died, Khrushchev came into power. Khrushchev took a dump all over Stalin. Said Stalin was evil, Stalin was a mass murderer. And all the same people that had just applauded for Stalin, they applauded for Khrushchev. Then in 1964, Kosygin and Brezhnev arrested Khrushchev and threw out Khrushchev. And Brezhnev and Kosygin took power and they said Khrushchev was no good, he was a traitor to socialism. All the same people applauded for Kosygin and Brezhnev for toppling Khrushchev. And then Brezhnev died, and then you got Andropov, and eventually you got Gorbachev. And Gorbachev came into power. Gorbachev said, instead of class struggle, we need universal human value.
Absolutely fucking wild to see Caleb Maupin offer like a salient critique of the USSR. Like, what the fuck? Of course, it doesn't admit any wrongdoing on Stalin's part, because he's like an absolute fucking brain rotten Stalinist. So he's just like, Stalin did all these great things, and obviously he was worthy of applause. But the people who followed him weren't worthy of applause. You're just like, yeah, okay, I can see how criticizing the USSR for being full of like fucking simps and sycophants who are terrified of ever criticizing anyone. Why that's a valid criticism. And then he's like, obviously Stalin was super worthy of applause. It's like, oh, fucking come on, dude, come on.
And Gorbachev said Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher are good people, and the same people who applauded for Brezhnev, applauded for Khrushchev, applauded for Gorbachev. And eventually the Soviet Union fell. And part of the reason that the Soviet Union fell, many people will admit, is because of this problem, that there was no constructive Satanism. No one could get up and say, there's a problem. An atmosphere was created where the only acceptable thing on the part of the membership was applause. And there were real problems in the Soviet Union. And those problems intensified in the 60s, and they intensified in the 70s, and they intensified in the 80s. But by the time they intensified in the 80s, Gorbachev came in, and the way he tried to fix them was so confused and messy that it led to the fall of the Soviet Union.
It is extremely adorable that he calls Gorbachev Gorby.
And it would have been much more healthy if there had been debate among the Soviet Communist Party leadership. It would have been much more healthy if dissident elements weren't simply being dragged away and arrested in the middle of the night. It would have been healthier if those who disagreed with the Soviet system could get up and publicly say it. And the problems that they were pointing to that made them disagree with the Soviet system could be addressed by the Soviet leaders. But because of the fact that they've been surrounded and invaded, 15 different countries invaded the Soviet Union after the Russian Revolution, World War II, 27 million people died. The Soviet Union developed this very, very authoritarian and rigid system that did not allow for any constructive Satanism. And no one was able to get up and say, these are our problems.
Any constructive Satanism? Just say constructive criticism, you absolute fucking brain genius. Holy fuck. You wouldn't be able to keep up with Caleb Maupin if not for him inventing all his own terminology to make his work accessible to the working class. Jesus fucking Christ. Gonna nickname my next Pokemon Gorby.
That's the first type of Satanism. The second type of Satanism.
Oh my god.
Teenage Satanism, or contrarianism.
Teenage Satanism.
And this is a type of behavior. It's a type of behavior where people simply want to break social norms. They simply want to go against authority. They simply want to assert their individualism, and it's very adolescent. It's very teenage. But some people never grow out of it. And it's a big problem in communist circles. Why? Why is it a big problem in communist circles? Because we live in a society where communism...
We live in a society! Nah, I'm just teasing.
Right? Stalin, they tell us over and over again, Stalin was worse than Hitler. Stalin was worse than Hitler. Communism never worked. It failed everywhere it's ever been tried. The United States is great because it saved the world from communism. So, in the United States, to start becoming interested in communism...
Wait a second. They tell us all the time Stalin was worse than Hitler. That's a neo-Nazi fucking propaganda point. Like, fucking, they tell us all the time? In normal society, they don't tell you all the time that Stalin was literally worse than Hitler. It's a neo-Nazi, like, soft Holocaust denial thing, where they claim that Stalin was worse because he did it to his own people, which is a way of them saying that Jews aren't authentically German. Then again, fucking Caleb's writing is full of him saying that Jews aren't authentically Russian or authentically whatever because they're Jewish. Like, so fuck it, fine, all right. It's all consistent to his thing anyway.
It is to break the rules. It leads you to admiring figures like Fidel Castro or Kim Il-sung, who we've been told are nothing but evil dictators. And it leads you to engaging and advocating the opposite of what we've all been taught. And it's different in other countries, you know? You live in Latin America, right? You live in, you live in Bolivia, you live in Venezuela. Even if you live in a moderate country in Latin America, they might not view Fidel Castro as Satan. Now, they may view Fidel Castro in a negative light, and some people may view him in a more positive light, but it's not the same thing. Maybe in Pinochet's Chile, he was viewed as Satan, but, if you're living in different parts of the world, people have different attitudes about these things. But the United States is the capital of capitalism. It's the world center of anti-communism. So being a communist in the United States means that you're embracing the exact opposite of what you're being told. And that's fine. However, it leads to a certain mindset. That means you're going against the status quo, which is fine. But it can take on a kind of childish adolescent character. And the reason I call it Satanism is it's actually very, very similar to the teenager who, starts wearing a pentagram necklace, starts listening to Ozzy Osbourne. They're literally...
Ozzy Osbourne? I say again, this video was uploaded fucking 5 days ago. Was this man born 80 years old? Seriously. Ozzy Osbourne? Oh god, seriously, this guy, like, his entire thing is just trying to trade on, like, the fucking satanic panic. Why did I think he would have, like... Why did I think it would be worth watching a video about Satanism from Caleb Maupin? What am I doing with my life? Jesus Christ. Can you believe there are people who, like, listen to this guy as a serious intellectual? What the fuck, honestly? Honestly, what the fuck? Burger King. Anyway, fucking hell.
They're living in a Christian society, and Satan is the enemy or the opponent in Christianity. And because of that, they're embracing Satan. Are these people actually following the teachings of Anton LaVey? Are they actually worshiping a deity called Satan? Are they actually believing in an ideology that is contrary to Christian teaching? No.
Interesting. Okay, so I must not be this kind of Satanist when his followers are calling me satanic, because they literally claim that I am related to like a fucking Satanist cult leader who actually literally worshipped Satan. So it's not just contrarian Satanism, is it? Or maybe I think maybe I've seen some of them say that I'm multiple of the different definitions. So maybe I'm this one. I'm the teenage Satanism, and I'm also something else, probably.
They are sticking it to their parents. They're sticking it to.
But seriously, also, look, I've watched this through before. None of them are just the like actual worshipping of Satan. And when his followers call me satanic, they're literally calling me satanic. Hang on a second. I should get this up for a second. This is like, I should just make sure that everyone watching is on the same page here first. These guys have a conspiracy theory about me. It's great. Okay, for anyone wondering the reason these guys keep on bringing up Michael Aquino, you probably haven't heard that name before. I hadn't before they started saying this shit, is very funny. Right, so here they are posting a picture of this dude. And you're also satanic like him, right? It's her dad, I think. After my conspiracy vid, Peter Coffin was so big mad, they tried to force a joke about my baby brows looking like Hitler's mustache for like 5 or 6 times, and it kept getting no response and no likes. Clearly the CIA suppressing them in the algorithm. Someone else tried to make a joke that Michael Aquino, who I'd never heard of, is my dad because he has fancy eyebrows. This guy, right? Then, because I was so unbelievably right about them being the conspiracy left, all their followers just started uncritically believing Aquino is my dad. This goes alongside a weird conspiracy they pulled out of nowhere that Abby's granddad is Aleister Crowley and ContraPoints has some kind of intelligence community satanic family, too. This is the end of a thread about ContraPoints. This fucking conspiracy leftist going, they're all descendants of imperial wizards! Imperial wizards. Sophie's father, military officer, founder of the Temple of Set, high-ranking member of the Church of Satan, pioneer of various psyop techniques for the U.S. intelligence. Not exaggerating in the slightest. See what I mean? It's all this, right? Peter beefed a joke so hard that it started a conspiracy theory within their little tiny pathetic fucking social media bubble. And they're all calling me satanic all the time. And then it's, I think, this one linked this video to try and explain how actually there are loads of different kinds of Satanism, and they're not necessarily just calling me a literal Satan worshipper. Except that they are. Because they are, though. Like, fuck me, dude.
Giving the middle finger to their mom and dad, they're giving the middle finger to their teachers, they are saying, I am a devil worshipper. And it's a certain psychology that many people grow out of. But it's an adolescent phase. It's an adolescent phase. And it's fine. I mean, it's fine to have a phase like that, where you're asserting your independence, right? You'll have teenagers who will, convert to Buddhism. You'll have teenagers who will become vegetarian in order to reject their parents' dietary habits. This is a normal phase of development. But it's not politics. This is emotion. And it's a big problem in Marxist and leftist circles. Because there are many people who get interested in our kind of politics simply because it is the opponent, simply because it is the enemy. And at that point, it becomes not serious politics. This was very clearly manifest in the 1960s left. There was somebody I knew.
It's kind of a self-report, right? Like, I know that America really does have the strongest anti-communism anywhere. But, like, fucking... Caleb thinks it's a serious and real recurring issue for communists that, like, people become communists just to be edgy, just because it's the enemy. It's like, what? My guy, fucking what? What circles do you think are, like, representative of normal society that you think that communism is just like a Satan equivalent to an enemy equivalent to fucking literal Satan, that people are like becoming communists to be edgy, to own their parents or whatever? Like, come the fuck on, dude. Yeah, that's totally why I'm a communist. Yeah, exactly. God. Did he say vegetarian as well? What? Hang on a second.
Because it is the enemy. And that's not their parents' dietary habits. You know, right? You'll have teenagers who will, convert to Buddhism. You'll have teenagers who will become vegetarian in order to reject their parents' dietary habits.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Vegetarian. Fucking vegetarianism is Satanism. Fuck me, dude. Come on.
But it's not politics. This is emotion. And it's a big emotion, not just surface. Because there are many people who get interested in our kind of politics simply because it is the opponent, simply because it is the enemy. And at that point, it becomes not serious politics. This was very clearly manifested in the 1960s left. There was somebody I knew years ago, a boomer leftist, a communist. And the more I got to know this person, a woman, the more I realized that this is what her politics were about. I asked her life story, how she got involved with Marxist politics. She was a college student in New York City in the late 60s when protesting the war was a thing that went on. And she liked how the protesters would go out and break windows and how the protesters would punch people and scuffle with the police. And she thought that was badass and it was exciting. She told me how these protests in the 1960s, a lot of these people were not really political at all. One of the chants they would do at their demonstrations was, smoke dope, get high, all the cops are gonna die. Smoke dope, get high, all the cops are...
Hang on a sec. It's not political at all to chant smoke dope, get high, all the cops are gonna die? What? Sorry, people who are at a protest who are about to physically fight the police in the street are being non-political and just being edgy when they say, smoke dope, get high, all the cops are gonna die. What? That's a non-political... What does this guy even think politics are? Is politics only when you do a fucking land bridge with Siberia? Is that the only meaning that politics has, you fucking LaRoucheite dipshit? Like, what is happening? What is this?
Cops are gonna die. That is one of the stupidest chants I've ever heard in my life. Right? We're advocating murder of police officers, we're advocating drug use. Yeah, that's really great. Two really awesome messages there. It's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life, but...
Caleb's like, hang on a sec, let's hear that again.
Heard in my life. Right? We're advocating murder of police officers, we're advocating drug use. Yeah, that's really great.
Advocating drug use. Man, fucking, when are you gonna get this? Like, drug use is just like... Drug use isn't an evil. Drug use isn't fucking bad. It's not like a moral failing. Like, when the fuck are you gonna get this, Caleb? Never, because you're reactionary. But, like, it's not a fucking moral failing. It's a thing that human beings have always done and are always gonna do. Also, like, I wouldn't expect fucking Caleb Maupin to get this, because he called Richard Nixon a fucking city builder. But, like, fucking the war on drugs, right, is one of the great fucking evils that America has perpetrated against its own people. Like, it's not...
It's like an evil of American imperialism as well as, like, destruction of its own people.
A specific evil of American imperialism.
Also was an excuse to fucking wage war on all of Latin America. Like,
yeah, and to march with militarized police forces into the streets to fight hippies and black people.
Right, like pure evil.
Like, properly evil. And this guy thinks he's being a fucking materialist when he's like, they're promoting drug use. Ugh. Like, fucking come on. Drug use. They're promoting drug use. Come on, man. Come the fuck on. But he thinks that drug use is like a CIA op, that like the CIA put drugs in leftist movements to disable them. It's like, no, man. The persecution of drug users is another cause that the working class are organizing around. The fact that... No, literally, I fucking mean this. Like, the fact that if you are rich and you use drugs, which rich people do all the time, obviously, you are never gonna go to jail for it. But if you are poor and use drugs, then police care and will actually, like, put you in jail and ruin your entire life. Especially if you're a person of color. Like... Oh, God. Come on, Caleb. That's so embarrassing. Just like this Imagine calling yourself a fucking communist and then being like, I'm anti-drugs. They're promoting drug use. It's so fucking cringe. Holy fuck, honestly. God damn, I want to call Caleb a clown, but he's not. He's the whole fucking circus. Smoke dope, get high, all the cops are gonna die. I mean, fuck, man. Jesus. a bunch of people who are in the street fighting cops right then, while the war on drugs is, like, kicking off, while, like, they are using the war on drugs as an excuse to persecute black communities, like, communities of color, and to crack down on leftist activism. God. Fucking hell.
Two really awesome messages there. It's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life, but that was a big part of the 1960s hippie counterculture protest movement. Smoke dope, get high, all the cops are gonna die. Right? They would chant that. And they would break windows. It was actually
Caleb, drugs are cool. You should try some. Maybe you would be less this if you did. That's all I can say. Smoke dope, get high, Caleb.
In New York City at one point. I kid you not. There was a left-wing activist group called the Motherfuckers. That's actually what they were called. The Motherfuckers.
The Motherfuckers.
And why would they call themselves the Motherfuckers?
Geneticum
They called themselves
futur.
Motherfuckers because that's a bad word. And in fact, at the time in New York City, one could be jailed for saying it. Lenny Bruce, the comedian, went to jail for saying motherfuckers on stage. And the group actually there.
So then they didn't call themselves the Motherfuckers because motherfucker is a bad word. They called themselves the Motherfuckers because, fucking hell, free speech, a value that Americans, I've heard, care something about, much to my fucking chagrin, because it's exhaustingly ridiculous. Fucking free speech is supposedly something that's protected by the American Constitution, and he's saying that you could be jailed in New York for saying motherfucker there. I don't even know if that's true. I haven't fucking looked this up because I'm just, like, taking his word for this right now. But literally, if you could be jailed for saying motherfucker, then them calling themselves the Motherfuckers is an explicitly political act and is not, like, just edgy Satanism. God, this guy's... He's just a conservative. He's just a right-winger. Fuser thank you for tipping 30 pounds. I appreciate it.
Their chant, their salute was what Lenny Bruce had said. Lenny Bruce, the comedian, he was speaking at a comedy club in the early 60s, and he told a joke, and the punchline of the joke was, "This is a stick-up, up against the wall, motherfuckers." And he said that, the NYPD were in the audience, they handcuffed him and arrested him for obscenity. You can't say that word in public. So this group, the leader of the group would hold his fist up in the air and shout, "Up against the wall," and the whole group would shout, "Motherfuckers!" This is Satanism. This is childishness, right? This is childishness. This isn't real politics. But she was an activist, and she liked how the
this isn't real politics. They're literally they are protesting.
A group in New York City called the New York City
Sorry,
Committee.
fucking dude, they're. No, I've already said it. Fuck it. Like, he's just detailing that there was literally a guy who was, like, arrested on stage. Oh God. Okay.
To support the Vietnamese.
Fuck it.
Now, why did she join this group? Did she join it because she really, in her heart, felt the Vietnamese people were right and U.S. imperialism was wrong? There were many people during this time period who did feel that way. There were many people that supported the Vietnamese people in their struggle against U.S. imperialism. That wasn't her. She joined the New York City Committee to support the Vietnamese. She joined them because they walked through the streets of New York City waving the flag of the enemy. That's true, they did. They waved the flag of the Vietnamese, and they chanted, "Ho, ho, Ho Chi Minh, the NLF is going to win. Ho, ho, Ho Chi Minh." A great chant. And I know many people who chanted that because they meant it, because they understood what it meant. But for her, it was very much...
How did this video suddenly start becoming, like, Caleb Maupin's tour of which chants were good and which chants were bad?
Very much just, I'm being bad. I'm breaking the rules. I'm going against what I'm being told. And I knew this person years later because they got involved in activism. And they were involved in helping someone else I know apply for something. I can't even get into the specifics of it. But she was basically helping them be deceptive in the way that they applied for this thing. And it was one of the weirdest things I'd ever seen. This was not a young person. This was somebody well over 60 years old. Might have even been 70 at the time. I think at least well over 60. Let me just put it that way, mid-60s. And she's sitting there helping someone fill out an application. And they're putting false information on this application. She gets this grin on her face. Yes, we're going to lie. We're going to lie. I love it. And she's thrilled by breaking the rules.
What is happening right now?
This is childishness. This is what I would call teenage Satanism, adolescent Satanism. This is what you might call contrarianism. This is not real politics.
Yes, it is what you might call contrarianism. You're just bringing together four concepts that are not Satanism and just calling them all Satanism so that your followers can be weird fucking conspiracy cultist freaks, like, just going around using, like, this weird fucking doublethink. I called you a Satanist, but aha, I don't actually mean that. I mean you're a contrarian, or I mean you're a what the fuck? Oh, God. Or a constructive criticism. I actually meant it as a compliment. Oh my God, dude.
Real politics. It's a form of arrested development. It's the person who's stuck in their teen years. They're aroused, they're thrilled by breaking the rules. And
aroused?
Politics, for whatever reason, is rooted in that.
Whew.
It's rooted in saying bad words.
Caleb.
It's rooted in breaking the rules. It's rooted in sticking it to authority. It's rooted in childishness. And this form of Satanism is not helpful. It's not constructive. And I would argue that it's something that we really ought to find out how we can get beyond. Now, it's one thing to recognize that whoever the U.S. imperialists are going after, we stand in solidarity with them against U.S. imperialism.
Man, he really hated that woman, huh? He like, that woman he just told that long story about, he fucking hated her, huh? Like, like, that's so shitty.
Right on, brother. I'm with you. It's one thing to recognize that we would never support the capitalist government in going after anybody in the working class movement. And we'd always stand with the oppressed against the oppressor. I'm with you. But when it becomes a fetish, when it becomes, we're going to break the rules, I like the enemy, I'm badass, when it becomes that, it's silly. It's completely silly. And that for a lot of internet communists, this is what their politics is rooted in. They're asserting their independence as a person. They're defying authority. They're disrespecting sacred institutions. They're violating social norms. It's childish. It's not real politics. But this is a kind of very prevalent, very prevalent form of politics. We need to get beyond that, right? I mean, it's a phase we all go through. You're not a bad person for feeling this way. I certainly felt this way a lot.
Jesus fucking Christ.
But it's not serious politics. So that's what would be the second form of Satanism. We've gone over constructive Satanism. Now we just went over teenage Satanism.
Teenage Satanism. Contrarian Satanism. You could just say contrarianism.
That I would go over is probably the most literal form of Satanism. I mean, the Church of Satan. This is what they actually believe.
Okay.
And I mean, I will actually
Here we go.
Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan. One of his most favorite writers who he recommends is Ayn Rand. Ayn Rand, the anti-communist philosopher.
Oh, okay.
Atlas Shrugged, the author of The Fountainhead. This is the climax of the Atlas Shrugged book.
So libertarianism
your
is
acceptance of the code of selflessness
Satan worshipping Satanism.
Because it makes you feel that your dollar is rightfully his. You hate the man with the dollar more than you because the dollar he's keeping is rightfully yours. Your code has made it impossible to know when to give and when to grab. You know that we can't give away everything and starve yourself. You're forced yourself to live with undeserved irrational guilt. Is it ever proper to help another man? No. If he demands it as his right or as his duty, then that you owe him. Yes, it's your own free choice based on judgment of the person and his struggle. This country wasn't built by men who sought handouts. And its brilliant youth, this country showed the rest of the world what greatness was to the man and what happiness is possible on earth. But then it began apologizing for its greatness and giving away its wealth and feeling guilty for having produced more than its neighbors.
The thing I genuinely enjoy is just like how often Caleb will just go into a rant about Ayn Rand. Like, I'm always down to hear a rant about Ayn Rand, but he's a very silly man. He's a very silly man who doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. So it's like you often find him like ranting about Ayn Rand, and then it's just like, wow. The issue with Ayn Rand is not that she is satanic. Okay. Wait a second. Is this just a response to the fact that I pointed out I pointed this out, right, in the stream and in the video, that he called Ayn Rand satanic and said that she was like a Russian-born Jewish atheist, and so she has no right to like talk about America or whatever. Like, did he make this video because of me pointing that out? Is he trying to explain why it's justified to call Ayn Rand satanic? Like, you could just call her satanic and move on, my guy. That's not even the issue here. It's not the fact that you called her satanic per se. It's the anti-Semitism. It's like, on its own, I don't really have much of an issue with people calling people demonic. It's when it's accompanied by being a fucking whack-ass conspiracy crank. Like, it's... Okay. Fuck me, dude.
I swear by my life and my love that I will never live for the sake of another man, nor ask another man to live for the sake of mine. Selfishness as a virtue. Your world is only the product of sacrifices. While you were dragging the men who made your happiness possible to your sacrificial altars, I beat you to it. I reached them first and told them about the game you were playing. You read the John Galt speech from Atlas Shrugged. This is a rejection of morality. It's saying don't love your neighbor.
Agreed.
It's saying don't be kind to others. It's saying don't be selfish.
Ayn Rand sucks. I agree. Go on. Go off, King.
It's very, very evil. It's very, very evil.
It's very, very evil.
Ayn Rand, you read The Fountainhead, you read Atlas Shrugged. This is evil stuff. It's saying that one should not...
It's very, very evil.
Purely self-interested. One should not help their fellow man.
Oh my god.
I mean, I don't know how else to put it. It's the ideology of capitalism. Ayn Rand called capitalism the unknown ideal. The unknown ideal. The idea was capitalism had never been enacted because we have a post office, because we have government-subsidized railroads, we have a military. But capitalism is a society where no one helps anyone else. Capitalism is a society where the government completely keeps its hands off.
Yes, she was batshit fucking insane.
Ayn Rand wrote about the virtue of selfishness. The idea that people should never have empathy for other people. That the problems of the world are rooted in altruism. That man's empathy for other men, man's sympathy for other people, men's desire to do unto others as they would have them do unto them is the problem.
Yes, Ayn Rand was a girl boss. She proved that women could be just as much of a fucking psychopathic capitalist as men could.
I mean it only for myself. That stuff is Satanism. I mean, I don't know what you want to call it.
Oh, it's Satanism.
You want to call it, it's pure doctrinaire Satanism. It's what Anton LaVey actually believed. It's capitalism. It's ideological capitalism. It is anti-moralism, straight up anti-moralism. It's dangerous, and it's problematic. And it's what most of the elite in the United States
Oh, it's
believe. Now,
problematic.
Ayn Rand,
Oh.
she wrote those novels. Ayn Rand is for the masses. Ayn Rand is for business school majors. Ayn Rand is for edgy teenagers. Ayn Rand is for, for guys who listen to right-wing radio. But they have a more sophisticated version of Ayn Rand for the educated classes. For the educated classes, they've got Friedrich Nietzsche. And Friedrich Nietzsche, his view, is a little bit more sophisticated. Friedrich Nietzsche.
Guys, I have to. If Caleb Maupin fucking starts talking about Pickle Rick right now, please, God. If Caleb Maupin starts talking about Pickle Rick right now, please. Caleb, if you see this, because I know you always watch all of my streams, thank you, by the way, for being my biggest fan. Please do a video about Pickle Rick. That'll be great. Nietzsche, Jesus Christ. Everyone, if you're enjoying the stream, please consider paying for the stream. You can subscribe or share or donate directly using Command Tip. If you use Command Tip, you'll be contributing to my laser hair removal fund, which I really, really want so that I can stop having to shave, because I hate shaving and it sucks. And it also doesn't really work, like, for what I'm trying to do. And it's expensive. There's lots of reasons why I hate it. So I'd really appreciate any donations to the fund. But also if you subscribe or share, I love that too. Oh shit, do you think they've seen my fucking... Hang on a second. Nat? Do you think they've seen my goat tattoo? Do you think Caleb Maupin's seen my goat tattoo?
I would. Well, he will now, so
that's true. He's probably watching right now.
Caleb
Do you think
seems to have a long-lasting fascination with psychedelics and MK Ultra?
That's true. Oh shit! I should actually. No. I'm just saying when they're calling me satanic.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely.
God, I've just realized.
Space, yeah.
I've just realized what amazing evidence this is.
Yeah.
For Caleb's freaks.
Yeah.
That I have
I love that.
I have the devil. The devil.
Hi,
and
guys.
A bunch of magic mushrooms.
Enjoy this, I guess.
Shit, man.
Evidence.
Didn't even think.
Evidence. We've been trying to cover up this whole time.
True. So true. It's on double speed, so it'll be done pretty soon. Okay. You want to hang out for the rest of it? It's pretty wacky stuff. We're just starting to hear about doctrinaire Satanism, which apparently is what Ayn Rand and Nietzsche proposed.
Wow. I'll leave it to you.
Okay. All right. And the witch banner, I didn't even think about that. That's one of my favorite paintings, but I have the witch on my other arm. There we go. That's just proof, you know? An evil witch and the devil and psychedelic drugs. Oh my god, what a silly man. Right, okay.
Nietzsche, in his book Beyond Good and Evil, argues that the Christian teaching, the last shall be first, the first shall be last, do unto others as you have them do unto you, this is the slave morality. It's the slave morality. It's the ideology of weak people invented to give them consolation. But the master morality is one that worships strength. And he talks about the Roman Empire, and he talks about ancient Greeks, and he talks about a society where people are purely living for pleasure and not empathetic to others. And,
sorry, is he describing Caleb Maupin right now?
Fulfilling their great strength by beating down others.
Sorry, okay, I know. He goes on about how actually, like, he actually does go on at length about altruism being good. It's just that his understanding of what that fucking means in practice is a nightmare. But, like, just the sentence from Caleb Maupin. He goes on at length about ancient Greece and ancient Rome. And he says that praising weakness, it's like, okay, all right. I'm revealing the level of brain rot that I've taken on from having to research these guys.
And he argues that Christianity is just something invented by.
I should get a more satanic tattoo next time.
But really, we need
my next tattoo should be way more satanic, I'm realizing.
We need to go back to greed is good. We need to go back to this kind of thinking. Now, this is a more sophisticated version of the Ayn Rand.
Also, Caleb Maupin has clearly not read
both of these philosophies,
whatever.
Nietzsche philosophy, as well as the Ayn Rand philosophy, view the people as the enemy. Right? John Galt's speech is all about how the great men are persecuted. Yep. The reason that the rich are rich is they're just so much better than everybody.
And you love the great man theory of history. Go on.
Down the superior ones. And Friedrich Nietzsche has a similar mindset. In fact,
Friedrich Nietzsche.
The Paris Commune of 1871. A lot of his writing in his final years was dedicated to tearing down the Paris Commune. Accusing the Paris Commune of 1871 of being an evil thing because it was the rabble rising up. And on top of Ayn Rand, Friedrich Nietzsche, you have Leo Strauss.
I love this. Friedrich Nietzsche. He keeps saying
Leo Strauss was a philosophy professor. He wrote Persecution and the Art of Writing. And Leo Strauss, he lived in Germany, and he fled Germany, moved to the United States. He taught at a school university, eventually moving to the University of Chicago. Leo Strauss, he argued that all of the great philosophers throughout history, Plato, Socrates, Kant, Descartes, they all wrote in code. And the reason they wrote in code was because they were persecuted, because they said what they really believed, the rabble would punish them. The average people who weren't as smart as they were, who couldn't understand the world with their superior rational mind, would punish them. So they had
okay,
to
Caleb, you explained the story of the emperor with no clothes earlier in this video. Like, you're seriously, what, you believe in the intelligence of the working class? Why do you talk to the working class like this, then?
Critics of Leo Strauss look at Leo Strauss's writings and say, how do you know?
Jesus
fucking
Christ.
Socrates and Plato really meant? How do you know that? How do you know what Descartes really meant? How do you know that? Who told you? Who gave you the decoding machine with which to read philosophy? It's kind of one of those things you just kind of have to believe in. But underlying Leo Strauss's strange interpretation of philosophers throughout history, there's the belief that the intellectuals, or the great ones, have always lived in fear of the rabble. Just like Ayn Rand talks about the mob coming after John Galt. Just like Nietzsche is talking about how much he hates the Paris Commune. Central in the worldview of doctrinaire, moral, philosophical Satanism is this belief that there are the chosen ones. There are the great ones who sit at the center of the elite. And the elite must...
Sometimes I worry I'm making Innsmouth a bit too nice. Do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes, like, literally, I pull back from it and I'm like, oh, those are really nice verandas over the river. Oh, fuck, no, shit. You know what I mean? Thank you very much. Basin is back for the 420. Oh, that's a satanic donation. That's drugs. That means you're MK Ultra. My pet theory is Caleb treats communism as a religion with capital as the Bible and so on. I mean, kinda. Like, that's like not a wrong, that's not like a super wrong read of what's going on here. Like, he really does want to be a fucking preacher. It's really clear. And Mark Salmons, thank you for tipping £2 for satanic lasers on your face. Thank you very much. I appreciate the satanic lasers.
From the rabble. And this is essential to their worldview. There are all these people out there that are challenging the power of the elite, and if they get together, it's got to be stopped. Leo Strauss argued that what we need is propaganda. With propaganda, we can control the masses. Leo Strauss said that his favorite TV show was Gunsmoke, the cowboy TV show, where the good guy wears a white hat and it's all good, not a single negative attribute. The bad guy wears a black hat and it's all bad, not a single redeeming quality. The good guy always wins, the bad guy always loses. And Leo Strauss told his students, many of whom became neoconservative politicians, served in the Reagan administration and the Bush administration, that this is how average Americans should be cultivated to understand politics. We need dumbed-down, stupid propaganda for the masses. Make the masses brainwashed and controlled so they don't get together and trouble the elite. And that politics is about protecting the freedom of the elite from the persecution of the rabble. That is the belief that is at the center of neoconservatism. And oddly, that is also at the center of what you can call the synthetic left. In the 1950s, the CIA launched a program called the Congress for Cultural Freedom. And the Congress for Cultural Freedom program was all about funneling money to intellectuals who were left-wing and had a left-wing critique of U.S. society, but were anti-communist. And Susan Sontag and Hannah Arendt and Mary McCarthy and Herbert Marcuse, these individuals were subsidized as part of this program. And one of the main things that they did was reinterpret what fascism is. Now, the scientific Marxist understanding of fascism is rooted in the breakdown of capitalism. When the capitalist system enters a crisis, the capitalists fight with each other. One section of the capitalists seizes power and uses heavy-handed state measures and mobilizes the population to drive down living standards in an attempt to stabilize and end the capitalist crisis. Hitler did that. Mussolini did that. That's what it is. It's a form of capitalism in decay. Lenin is why fascism is capitalism in decay. R. Palm Dutt, the Marxist and leader of the British Communist Party, wrote a great book, Fascism and Social Revolution. But Hannah Arendt and Susan Sontag, they had a very different definition of fascism. You read Fascinating Fascism by Susan Sontag, the essay that she wrote for the New York Times Review of Books. You read Eichmann in Jerusalem by Hannah Arendt. Suddenly, fascism is not the problem of capitalism in decay. It is not a Bonapartist maneuver. It is not liberal Western capitalist societies collapsing into illiberalism amid an economic crisis. No, fascism is when the rabble get together. Fascism is when inferior ones get together and start persecuting the great intellectuals.
That's not what they said, my guy. Come on.
Susan Sontag is just the most successful form of fascism. It's fascism with a human face.
Caleb, you silly little
fascism
juice.
With a human face. Communism is nothing but the most successful form of fascism. And Saddam Hussein is a fascist. And Gaddafi is a fascist.
I love to lie. Lying is cool.
The West is great.
And I love to be lied to as well.
We protect the intellectuals from...
Like all members of the working class, I love when people just lie to me while claiming to be educating me on things. Great, good stuff.
At its core, it believes human beings are evil. Human beings are and it is a viewpoint that is fundamentally anti-human. Human beings are not animals. Let me repeat that. Human beings are not animals.
So Ayn Rand and Hannah Arendt and Susan Sontag
acknowledged
all had one thing in common. Hannah Arendt and Susan Sontag and Ayn Rand, all those ones had one thing in common, and it's that they were satanic. Come on, my guy. Come on, my guy. Come on.
It's called The Role of Labor in the Transition from Ape to Man. Go and read it. It's a great essay. By what makes humans different than any other species, right? What makes them different? Is it that humans have a civilization? Well, an ant farm is a civilization, right? Is it that human beings use tools? Well, you can see different animals using tools. That happens, right? Is it that we have language? We have a spoken language. Some people argue that some of the way animals communicate, they have a little bit of language. It's not exactly a fully developed language. So what separates human beings from animals? The fundamental distinction between human beings and animals is that animals only interact with their environment. Humans make the environment serve them. They master the environment. And this is the fundamental difference. This is what Frederick Engels says. All other species only interact with their environment. But humans force the environment to serve them. They master the environment. And
that's distinct from tool use because...
Ants have been building their ant farms the same way for thousands of years. Beavers have been building their beaver dams the same way for thousands of years. But in just 7,000 or 8,000 years, human beings have gone from hunter-gatherers in the woods to space travel and iPhones. There is something unique about mankind. Human beings have been endowed by their creator with some kind of special ability that makes them separate from other species. And philosophical, doctrinaire, ideological Satanism doesn't see it that way. Anton LaVey says
endowed with something. We've been endowed with something by fucking what? By our creator. I don't mean to disrespect Caleb Maupin's religious beliefs here. I know that he does believe in the big man upstairs. I don't. I have a different relationship to spirituality than him. I'm not going to shit on him for believing in that, but like, come on. So materialist. So very materialist. He just said, is it tool use? No, there are other animals who use tools. And then he's like, human beings master their environment. It's like, what? How are you not just talking about tool use right now? What? Oh my god. Can anyone succeed over me as the, You're not Christian, that's why you're a cultist. Yeah, Can anyone here succeed over me as the Maupin whisperer? I do not understand. Clearly my femoid brain has given in. I am just too dumb. As a synthetic leftist psyop, I clearly don't have the answers. Don't have the capacity to understand the mighty Caleb Maupin. God.
Worse than those that crawl on all fours. That's actually a literal quote from Anton LaVey, the Church of Satan founder, who recommends Ayn Rand. They see the world as a world of greed is good, might is right, selfishness. They see the law of the jungle as ideal. They see compassion as weakness. They see people working together in groups as dangerous and totalitarian. And this is classical doctrine.
Do we really? Is this really like this like debate over the fundamental nature of human beings on an ethical and moral level? Firstly, so materialist, so very, very, very materialist. Secondly, like, fucking... You can point to the problems with Anton LaVey, but, like, human beings are animals, sometimes better, sometimes worse. I don't know, that's not a bad quote, is it? There we go. Okay, you know what? I've painted myself into a corner. Clearly, guys, I am a Satanist. I admit it. I've been a Satanist the whole time. Fuck it. Fuck it. Like, what... Is that really such a terrifying idea? Human beings are animals? No wonder Has doesn't believe in genes. No wonder with these fucking guys. Is that such a terrible idea? Like, human beings are animals, actually? Because we are. Because we literally are. What is this? Literally, come on. What do you think about this as like a kind of structure for a lamppost? I think this is kind of fun. Maybe I'm just going to hang some lights from it. Like, 4 of them? Yeah, 4 is good. Yeah, that's kind of fun. Okay, and then that goes all the way up to their doors, and then those people are now part of the community. Welcome to the neighborhood! Has doesn't believe in genes. Oh, yeah. It's part of his, his Holodomor Apologia. Has is... very determined to say that This is a wild one, actually. He like doesn't believe in genes because Lysenko, who rejected Darwinism because of the superior Soviet Bolshevik thought, starved millions of people to death because he just fucking thought that they could overcome. Yeah, I mean, it's just in some senses a scientific error of a guy not fucking believing in genes, and then like tries to claim genes actually aren't real because he wants to exonerate Lysenko, and say that there was nothing wrong with the Holodomor, or say that it didn't happen, or whatever the fuck his stance is on it. Him not believing in genes is, I guess, probably somewhat of a meme in order to further his agenda of ignoring anything that the Soviet Union has ever done wrong, ever. So, very cool. Very cool, very normal. Something plasm. Wasn't Lysenko a fraud charlatan hack who was responsible for famines? Yeah, yes. You end up fucking starving millions of people to death if you don't believe in genes and you're like the guy in charge of farming, like mechanizing agriculture. It turns out, what a crazy thing. Okay, I'm gonna push on with this with minimal commentary because I gotta wrap up the stream.
Satanism. And it's an elitist worldview. It views some people as being naturally superior to others. It views the majority of mankind with contempt. It argues that there's a special group of people. And that this special group of people must rule over the rest of mankind. And that there needs to be all kinds of mechanisms to make sure that the rabble never get together and challenge the power of this special group of rulers. This is the satanic worldview. It's the John Galt speech. It's Leo Strauss. Susan Sontag. It's Ayn Rand. It's Nietzsche. It's anti-human. And it's really contrary to everything human beings have ever stood for. I'm not a huge fan of the U.S. Department of Justice. They need to free Alex Saab. They need to free Leonard Peltier. One time I was walking through the streets of Washington, D.C., and on the walls of the U.S. Department of Justice building, I saw a phrase. And the phrase was this. It said, "Where law stops, tyranny begins." Think about that. When law stops, tyranny begins. What does this mean? When law stops, tyranny begins. Doesn't make any sense. Isn't law?
Yeah, it's Hobbesianism, yeah.
Think about it. Without law, it becomes the law of the jungle. And what is the law of the jungle? Might makes right. The strongest survive. In our society, the strongest people are those who have the most money. Law and morality are the only things that protect the weak from the strong. Right? What stops if an old woman is crossing the street, two big strong guys want to run up to her and punch her in the face and take her purse? If there's no law, they can do it because they have the strength. But there is a law. We have laws against robbing people on the street. So the law protects her from the tyranny of those two guys who want to punch her and take her purse. What stops your boss from paying you 10 cents an hour? The law. The law says there's a minimum wage. And if it weren't for the law, you could get away with paying you that. And that's why workers have organized unions.
Oh, wait a second. He's saying that he does believe this? Or is he just explaining that position?
Fought for the law. Fought for a minimum wage. The tyranny of your boss is restricted by the law. Now, we all know that in our society, the richest people manipulate the laws to serve their own ends, and that law under capitalism tends to serve the rich. But in a socialist society, we will have law, but it'll be a law of the people. It'll be the masses getting together and changing the law, and taking control of the means of production, and reorganizing society. But it won't be the abolition of law. It won't be going back to the rule of the jungle. It'll be the opposite. It'll be becoming even more civilized than capitalism. In capitalism, we have a law that is so ridiculous that Jeff Bezos can pay no taxes, and you and me are paying a decent amount of taxes. That's ridiculous. Well, in a socialist society, the rich won't be writing the laws anymore. It'll be the dictatorship of the proletariat, right? We live under the dictatorship of capitalists. Socialism.
I shouldn't even fucking be surprised. He's just saying that he agrees that without laws we would all fucking would all be monkey, just like smashing each other with a rock over the head and taking each other's stuff if there were no laws. Fascinating. Absolutely fucking fascinating. Yeah, I shouldn't be surprised at all. Because again, he's just a conservative. What?
Right, the broad masses of people rising up and taking control of the means of production, reorganizing society, taking control of the state. Socialism is not dismantling civilization and returning to the law of the jungle. No! Socialism is rising to a higher stage of civilization. It's taking what's special about human beings.
He's just saying, he just fucking agrees with that thing.
He's just saying he believes in the purge. He believes what the neoliberal control vampires and the purge believe. And it actually doesn't work out for them, so they actually have to force that situation to happen.
Yeah, right, in the purge, even in the purge, even in the movie The fucking Purge, they have people actually whose job it is to like do more purging,
right,
because people don't actually like to kill the fuck out of each other just because laws are gone.
The message of the purge is that this is not like the natural state of human beings, but that they have to be like encouraged.
I'm just imagining Caleb watching the purge and being like, "This is materialism." Like, what the fuck? Like, he literally just. Oh my god. Oh, fucking hell. All right. Nearly at the end now.
To a higher level. It's abolishing the anarchy of production, the chaos of the market, out of a rationally planned economy, so we can get to a society with so much abundance that inequality can fade away, and the state itself and the law and all these things we've invented to try and make the best of a world full of scarcity can fade away. That is the idea. But the belief that human beings are naturally barbarians, the belief that it's just law that might makes right, the belief that there's some people that are just superior to others and they need to be protected from the rabble, the belief that mankind, the mass majority of human beings are deep down ugly people, are ugly, dangerous people. That is doctrinaire Satanism. It's the oligarchical view of mankind. It is the anti-human view.
So, I don't think that deep down people are ugly and bad and evil. And that's why when Caleb said, two big strong guys beat up an old woman and take her purse, I was thinking, what? Who are these guys? What are you talking about? As his example of crime and what crime is, especially because statistically, wage theft is the most common, overwhelmingly the most common form of theft in society today. And fucking any leftist knows that, any fucking materialist knows that, and knows that like it actually is bigger than like all other forms of larceny added together. And the problem of your boss taking money from you is much more serious than any imaginary boogeyman of like thugs in the street who beat up old ladies. What is this? Like, I do think that people are good deep down. I am quite curious. Honestly, I don't know that Caleb does. Like, he doesn't. He seems to genuinely, seriously, like, loathe and look down on the working class. For as much as he's saying, like, as much as he's accusing us of that right now, and as much as he's, like, trying to say that he's the opposite, like, he's so fucking condescending to the people that he speaks to. He's so, like, I mean, fundamentally, just like saying that you think that fucking if the law wasn't there, we would all be under tyranny is just like also saying that you don't think that people are fundamentally good. Like, dollars lost to wage theft is several times greater than all other theft combined. Thank you for picking me up on that one. It's even more extreme than I just said.
And I would say that is the prevailing view. It's the view of the synthetic left. It's the view of the right wing. It's the view of the neoconservative right and of the synthetic left. The neoconservative right, their view is that capitalism, American capitalism, is the greatest system. The people who work the hardest and are the smartest are the richest. And governments around the world that challenge U.S. imperialism are all societies where the mob, the rabble, has risen up and taken control of the government. So the USA needs to spread freedom around the world by attacking and beating down these governments, so they can have societies like we have here, where the elite, the best, the greatest,
that is a good way. That is a fair objection to the exact thing that you just said that you agree with.
That is what neoconservatives believe. That's why they justified U.S. invasion of Iraq. That's why they wanted to destroy the Soviet Union. This is what neocons believe. The American system is ideal because the elite rise to the top, because the rabble aren't able to get together and restrict the freedom of the elite. And we want to spread, we want to have a global movement to spread this great American system around the world so the elite can always be protected and the rabble can never get together and restrain the great man. That is what neoconservatives believe. That's what Irving Kristol taught. That's what Leo Strauss taught. That's the neocon belief, and it is satanic. What does the synthetic left believe? The synthetic left believes that whenever people march in uniform, whenever people have a collective goal or a collective vision, whenever there is, talk of populism or people coming together and fighting for a cause, this is fascism. That it's the Red-Brown alliance. The communists, want to fight for class struggle. That's class reductionism. It's populism. It's crypto-Trumpism. It's Nazbolism. It's Red-Brown. Right? That fascism is not the breakdown of capitalism. They reject Marxian materialism. They reject class struggle. They are fighting for the elite to be able to live their lives however they want, and they are fighting for the rabble to be manipulated. The greatest enemy is Putin. The greatest enemy is China. The greatest enemy is Venezuela. And the United States, with its universities, and Facebook and Twitter, with their social engineering and their free expression that's maneuvered and manipulated to brainwash you for the elite. That is the expression of freedom. That's what the synthetic left believes.
No comment. He's just got it exactly right. He's completely exactly right about what I believe. So I have nothing to add.
This is the ideology. Ideological Satanism. The oligarchical view of mankind. Capitalist ideology. What does that mean? liberalism, you can call it doctrinaire liberalism. This is the prevailing view in our world. This is what Wall Street believes. This is what London believes. This is what Paris believes. This is what the German bankers believe. This is what the London Stock Exchange promotes. This is what they teach at Harvard. This is what they teach at Yale. This is what they teach at business schools. This is what they teach with, this is what they teach. This is what they believe.
And by the way, if Caleb Maupin was even slightly in touch with the real working class, he wouldn't be so anti-drug, because he would know that people just take drugs. People, here's my incredible sociological materialist law. You can think of this as Sophie's law, and it should be entered into the materialist's handbook alongside all of Marx and Engels, the great writings of famous materialists throughout history. People like drugs.
Individualism above all else. Might is right, rule of the jungle. This is what they believe. It calls itself anti-totalitarianism. It calls itself liberalism. It calls itself human rights. It calls itself the Western beliefs, Western civilization. This is what is central to the worldview of those who dominate the world, and it is very, very, very dangerous. And the final type of Satanism that I want to talk about. We've gone over constructive Satanism, which is challenging the power structure, holding us accountable.
Okay, we're on the last one now.
We've gone over teenage Satanism. Which
we're
is
in the home stretch, everyone. We'll be wrapping up in a minute.
Contrarianism, etc. We've gone over ideological and philosophical Satanism, which is the prevailing viewpoint of our society. And now I want to get to the fourth part, the fourth kind. And I don't quite know what to call this fourth form of Satanism, because it's a very sly form of Satanism. It's not blatant, but it's within all of us. It is the part of yourself that is working against you. It is something that exists in every individual. It's that thing that gets in
It's self-doubt?
It's that voice in your head that says there is no hope.
It's doomerism, okay.
And your alarm goes off in the morning, and you want to go and have your day that says, what's the point? There's no hope. Everyone's against you. It's that voice in your head when you get a plan, you get an idea of how you can move ahead in life, how you can go accomplish something, how you can get involved in a political organization, how you can do something creative that says, everyone's going to laugh at you. That's stupid. You'll never succeed. It's that part of you that says there's no reason to get up in the morning. There is no hope. You have no future. You have no value. No one cares about you. You're on your own. Your life's...
Is it normal to think if you're going to get involved in a political organization, everyone's going to laugh at you? In my experience of political organizations, which of course is nowhere near as broad as the great anti-imperialist, materialist Caleb Maupin, people are not particularly concerned that getting involved with political organizations is going to result in people laughing at them. Maybe the CPI is Caleb okay? I mean, yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering as well. Honestly. Jeepers creepers, honestly. This is Satanism. Self-doubt is Satanism. Okay, alright.
Your life is pointless. It's that part of you that in some cases drives people to suicide. It drives people to become drug addicts. Try to silence that voice with drugs. In some cases, it's the voice of an abusive parent.
Oh.
In some cases, it's the result.
People become drug addicts because they because they want to silence the voice of self-doubt. Okay.
Of traumatic and painful experiences.
Uh-huh.
In some cases, it's the result of just hostile conditions that have made it much harder. We all have a part of this. There's a little bit of this in all of us. It's not a constructive voice saying, you could do better in this area. It's not constructive Satanism. It's not telling you to improve. It's not giving constructive criticism. No. On top of that, it's not adolescent rebellion. It's not encouraging you to break with social norms.
Yeah. I get that. You just have to fight it. Fine, dude, whatever. Okay, I think that's it. I gotta get off and take a little break before I have to record Dice Funk tonight. So thank you everyone for hanging out. I'm done with that. We had the 4 forms of Satanism. They were amazing. They were incredible. I feel so enlightened now. I'm such a better materialist for watching that. Jesus Christ. So tired. I'm just so tired. Like, what the fuck? I'm gonna raid into Marina, my good friend Marina Dove. Please give them some love. Give them your money. Giving Sophie's friends money is based, and not giving Sophie's friends money, that's cringe. Everybody, I'm going to be doing a fundraiser stream on the 20th to the 22nd to protect trans kids. Please be there. Please give as much money as you can, because we need to help trans kids out now. Fucking now. In the US and UK, we're going to be raising money for 3 funds simultaneously, 4 streams going on all weekend. It's going to be really good. It's going to be really cool. and cringe is Satanism. That's true, actually. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna raid into Marina now. Everyone go say hi to Marina, and I will see you probably later in the week for probably a bit more Minecraft, actually, and then Sunday for Red Planet, next week for more Forgotten City. So thank you so much for everyone hanging out. It's been great to have you, and I hope you have a fun time with Marina. Okay, good night, everyone. Bye.